iterating on a code base is fine, but you've seen these agents, they get stuck in loops and dead ends. So there's definitely needs to be some kind of smart, overarching like orchestrator that manages paths and knows when, like, what paths people took, agents took, like sub agents took, and knows like, okay, we've tried to do this, now let's try to do that.
Welcome to episode 6 of Tool Use. Tool Use is a weekly conversation about helpful AI tools where we teach you what is possible today by providing real examples that we put together. We also talk to other AI makers to show their perspective and experiences and try to spread the knowledge. This week, we're focusing on tools to help contribute to open source. I'm Mike Bird, talking with Ty Fierro, and today we're joined by Techfren, or AJ.
Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, happy to be here. I'm excited to talk open source. I mean, like, I'm such a proponent of open source, working for an open source company. Mike, I know you love open source. You're on Twitter all the time preaching open source, so I think it's a great theme for the week.
Yeah, and being able to just enable people to actually take their ideas and deploy it, it's very exciting.
What do you got for your demo, Mike?
Okay, so one thing that I've been looking to do is trying to automate tasks that developers have to do when they're contributing to open source. And we saw in an earlier episode, I actually referenced it today, the AI commit tool I have where it'll write the commit for me. But I noticed when I write a commit and push it up, it either looks fine in the description or I still have to fill out the description. So I thought I would like a tool that takes all of the commit messages and writes a PR description for it. So in the AI toolkit, I added the two actions I'm doing. So this one is going to be the PR writer. Now, what I'll do here is this is the README for the PR writer. It's garbage. So I'm just going to add a quick little to-do. To-do, make this README better. And then just comment it out. So, very basic one. Get status. That's the only one. Get add all. And then the AI commit. Add note to remind users to set Grok API key. There we go. And then push it up. You can see I'm on this PR writer action branch. So when I go to pull requests, compare, create pull requests, very basic, but see, this is what I'm talking about. It takes the commit message, splits it across the title in this. It's kind of trash, but I'll just hit create pull request. What it's going to do is it's going to start running this action. If we head into the actions, we can take a look and see that it is going through this summarize thing. What it's actually doing is it's calling Grok with all of the commit messages to create a title and create a description. So going back into it, update PR writer README documentation along with the entire description of it. I mean, this is a very basic one. If I added more commits, it'd probably be cooler, but let's just merge it. But before I merge it, I don't have any reviews on this, but that's okay. We'll just override. I wanted to discuss my second tool. The second tool is the TODO Issue Creator. And what this one does is it'll actually take any merge to master, and then it will scan the code base for the to-dos, but only the to-dos and comments, because I noticed a lot of the times in my prompts or in other instructions throughout the code, sometimes in like function names, it'll just have the word to do, and we don't want that. We just want the issues or the to-do comments. So it'll actually regex through it, find the comments, capture the to-dos, and then make issues. So let's try to merge it. Confirm merge. And then head back over to actions. And as it's merging, it's doing the TODO Issues Creator. So it takes a minute because it does scan the whole code base. It's printing out a lot. Downloading all of the necessary utilities. Found one to-do comment, creating the issue. So let's head back up to the top after all these logs. Go to issues, improve README in GitHub PR writer. So you don't have to worry about your to-dos getting lost in the code because it'll go to the issues. If there are other open source contributors who are looking to add to your repo and to make contributions, they're able to see the issues that you have identified elsewhere in your code. So these two tasks, while not the fun parts of software development, are going to make it a lot more robust because a good PR description helps people understand the changes as well as creates a strong Git history, and having your to-dos extracted into issues further makes them more visible. So people are able to identify them and work on them, making your code base more robust without people having to search through the code base to find the to-dos. So those, I think, are two tools which are open and available, which will help people contribute to open source projects.
Nice, I love it. I wonder if this you create these tasks from the to-dos here all over the code base. It makes me think like there's the like SWE benchmarks where there's basically a set of GitHub issues and it determined or like the score is based on how many of those get solved. I wonder if there's some sort of initiative to where people could in their open source repos make like a special comment or something that's like SWE dash something and then with a little bit of instructions they could publish it, and then there's just like a public repository of GitHub issues that you could train LLMs on. It would be really cool. Random idea came to my head, but that's really cool. I love the demo.
Yeah, no, I love the idea too. Like there are so many ways we can just take the general concepts. Like if people take actions and just figure out what can be done automatically, what can we take that is regularly a dev's job and just offload it onto the robots, because we want to use AI to do these summarizations and whatnot. And I mean, there's a lot of like linting tools, formatting tools, but actually being able to take random input, have an LLM process it, and create valuable output is something that will provide a lot of value. So I hope people explore it, and yeah, explore ideas like yours. Like how can we make like individual aspects of code bases contribute to the larger ecosystem?
All right, well, for my demo this week, I have the hardest time, like, knowing the difference between all the different licenses on GitHub, the MITs and I mean, I can't even name the other ones, that's how much I don't know. And there's, Apache and all the other ones, but I usually just do MIT, because whatever, we'll just ship my code out for free, anyone can take it, spirit of open source. But in some cases, if you're like a company and you don't want people to, like, take your code and privatize it, you can actually pick different licenses that make more sense for you. So I made a little tool that works like this, where you have a little open source license selector. I had to add a legal disclaimer because I can't tell you to actually pick a specific one, but it'll ask you like what you want to do. I'm going to do software. Then you want to allow others to use the code freely without requiring them to share their modifications. And I had this little thing in there too where you can ask a question. And so now I can see like if it's a permission license or copyleft or whatever else. But let's see here. Let's let people use code, sure. Concerned about patents? What is that supposed to mean? No? Okay, I don't think I really care about the patents. Okay, so then it asks for an MIT license. That makes the most sense, most likely, if I don't care what people do with it. And then I can create the license with just a yes, and then you type in your name for the license, and then boom, it actually creates the license file. So what it did is actually use the GitHub API to pull in the license from GitHub, inserts the name and the current year of the actual license itself, and then just adds it to your current working directory. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, but it's way deep. This looks very simple. It's actually kind of a long script because there's a lot of different branching ways that this can go. Like content is weird with licenses. There's all sorts of different licenses you can pick for content, and you can also have software and content and have a license that covers both of them. I don't know. I learned a lot about licenses through doing this, but yeah, that's basically it. And so I almost got it to a pip package before this, wasn't quite able to, but it will be a pip package by the time this is live, and so you'll just be able to do license-select, and then it'll just pop this up. You can walk through little steps and then create a license for your project. And yeah, that's it.
Nice, man. Honestly, the licenses are rarely the sexy part of software development, but super important, because you had situations like, I'm trying to remember, it was Elasticsearch, where Amazon ended up making more money off of it than they did because it was MIT licensed, and then Amazon just like, whoop, smoked it up and then made Elastic Beanstalk. I might be in the services wrong, but I think that's what happened. So being able to have open source contributors be able to protect their work and be able to properly license things so people can use it or not use it is actually super important. So it's a vital component of contributing to open source.
AGPL license is actually a great one for this too. It's actually what Open Interpreter has, but it basically is, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's like open source, like, use the code how you want to, but if you actually take the code and use it, then you have to open source what you create, which generally prevents the large companies from doing anything with it, so it kind of protects you a little bit. But licenses are very confusing. It also feels weird in the age of AI that licenses are this confusing. I feel like there's probably a new license for the age of AI, but oh well.
And even just to deepen the confusion, when AI outputs the code, if it was trained on some licensed code, which suspected has happened, what is that subject to? Like, it's just, licenses can get very messy. Copyright in general is going to get very messy in the next couple of years, so see how it plays out.
Well, it's great to have you on, Techfren. Like, tell us about yourself. Like, how did you get into AI? How did you get into like content creation? Like, what's your story?
For sure. AI, maybe I'll answer that one later because content creation and software development came first for me. I remember my parents having like one of those tape camcorders when I was, I don't know, under 10 years old, and I just like filmed the dumbest shit, like me jumping around with like a pillow pretending it was a skateboard because I liked Bam Margera and those videos. It was like Camp Kill Yourself and like, I don't know, Jackass and all that shit when I was young. And for software development, like I really liked Flash games on the computer, and during school, like when we'd have free time, the teacher would let us go on the computer and do, you know, like free time on the computer, and I'd always go on like play those Flash games. And I'd figure out there was that program like Macromedia Flash, it was called, before Adobe bought it, and you could actually make your own animations and Flash games with what was called ActionScript. And that was my first taste into programming, like super young, before I was like even 10 years old. And yeah, and then I slowly like got more interested in programming and making videos. And yeah, I'll talk about AI now. AI, I thought it was like the coolest software thing to happen when like Google DeepMind and all that stuff was created. I think the thing that impressed me most was when, I think it was the DeepMind Labs or Google Labs or whatever, had that humanoid thing that learned to run and like avoid obstacles. And it was like, you could imagine like back in the day, like I was very interested in game programming and stuff, but everything was like hard rigged, animated. GTA had some like cool, I don't know how they did it, but I don't think it was AI, like not animated, but like programmed like reactions to like gunshots and stuff. But when Google released that completely AI animated thing, I was like, wow. But it was just so far out of my reach back then. Like I wasn't like a PhD researcher. I couldn't really get involved. But every day there was new papers. I was really into, there was this YouTube channel, 2 Minute Papers. And like they'd keep releasing really interesting stuff. And I was like, wow, this is so sick. Like, how can I get involved? But my only way of getting involved was just consuming the content and communicating it to my peers until ChatGPT happened. And that's when like us normal software engineers could really like just take the APIs and do stuff with them. And I was like, all right, quit my job and like went full in on trying to get as much involved as I could. Yeah, it's TLDR.
The first thing I made was a little video game too. Not a very good one, and hilariously enough, I did it in PowerPoint. When I actually took a bunch of photos around the house, and then I put like hidden objects as like where's you could click. Like you want to go to a door, you click on the door. Yeah,
sick.
so it very like rough
I
and
used to make
rudimentary.
animations in PowerPoint as well.
Love it. Yeah, it's just using the tools available to you that you understand to create something. And
Exactly.
AI is kind of going the same way, where it's like you don't have to know these deep level languages. I mean, if you want something hyper optimized, sure. But if you just want to create something for people to enjoy, use whatever's available to you.
Yeah, definitely.
What was one of the first things you made in the AI world?
I'm not sure if I made any like toys before this, but this is like kind of like my first thing I made public and like actually sold a few credits for, and it was Timestamp Genius. Oh, actually, before that, okay, I'll talk about Timestamp Genius. Timestamp Genius was like a pain I had, was I would do these streams and, you know, trying to go back and manually find where to add the timestamp so viewers could jump to like interesting sections and not have to watch like 2 hours of me talking to chat or whatever. So yeah, YouTube provides transcripts for free, but they don't provide the like chapters, the timestamps. So I was like, this is like a great use for ChatGPT API because it can like, you know, analyze lots of text and, you know, it comes with the transcript times. So yeah, it would take a YouTube URL and give you timestamps for it. And that was like a pretty cool project, but this year YouTube like blocked the Vercel IPs from accessing that transcript API. So I took it down. I was kind of like going through the route of downloading the audio and transcribing it with Whisper or something, but it was just a bit of a hassle, so I've kind of just left it. Before that, actually, now that you've mentioned, I actually kind of had like a code interpreter thing super early, like last year. Oh, maybe not that early, like June. And it worked off a fork of this project called Agent GPT. I'm not sure if you remember that. It was like a Next.js web project, but I had that interface with like a Python, I think it was, maybe a Node server, and it would like talk to that, and then it would be like, you are an AI that controls like the terminal. Given an instruction, like only respond in terminal commands. And yeah, that was probably maybe my first. I don't know. I can't remember anything before that.
Yeah. I see where the interest in Open Interpreter comes from then, huh?
yeah. I mean, it was a very, very, maybe not obvious, but very like exciting idea, because on Twitter and stuff, people were posting like you could have ChatGPT roleplay as a terminal as well, like just in the ChatGPT interface. So it was like, wow, if it can reliably output these terminal commands, like we could actually utilize this.
One thing, actually, you, I think, were the first person to ever comment on a tool use video back on episode 0, and you gave us all the timestamps. Did you manually do that, or did you use your tool for it?
Yeah, I probably used my tool for it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we appreciate that. Like, the viewers love it. It's
problem.
nice to be able to flip around in these long videos.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's open source as well, so if you want to do it, you can run it locally and it works. It's just the hosted version on Vercel is IP banned, so.
Yeah, we've been working on trying to get a pipeline to help automate some things, and we're chipping away at it, but chapters or just like general markers are something we could definitely use, so we'll check it out.
Yeah, for sure. And there's different ways to do it. Now, when I did it, the context windows were very small, so I'd actually chunk the transcript like chunk by chunk and send it through to ChatGPT. And that kind of came with its advantages. So now I'm using like 4.0 mini, and I was using 3.5 turbo before. So it's like very cheap. But these days I've seen like other creators, they have like a huge prompt with like examples and like transcripts and like, you know, guiding things. And they put the whole transcript in the prompt, and they use like O1. And they sometimes get better results because obviously O1 is like a smarter model. But yeah, it's more expensive, I guess.
Probably way more expensive too. Man, when those prices came out for O1, I was like, my eyes watered a little bit. That was pretty crazy. Like, was it $15 for 1 million tokens in and 30 out or something? Like, that's go bankrupt doing a big open project like that with that kind of money.
For sure. Though O1 Mini is actually cheaper than Sonnet, so apparently it's like pretty good at coding as well. Yeah, I don't know. I still have some testing to do if I'm confident in that statement.
I had O1 Mini actually build some of my demo for today. It built the first little part of it. It's actually pretty good at coding, surprisingly. So I think really just this chain of thought in general. Even this small model, it does all its thinking. I'm sure obviously there's extra special magic they're doing behind the scenes at inference time, but even just printing out all of its tokens of like, here's what my plan is going to be, and then starting to code. I mean, that's kind of what Open Interpreter is built on too, is like, let's always define a plan first, go through the plan, chain of thought, and then write the code you want to run. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Definitely.
What AI tools are you most excited about? Or like, is there anything that's coming out or has come out recently that you're really stoked on?
Yeah, I mean, the space that I keep covering and what I'm most interested in is kind of like the automating software development, and I really like the automating operating systems and browsers, so like Open Interpreter, definitely one of my favorite projects. Yeah, the coding tools have been really exciting these past few months. Like Cursor raised a lot of money and it's like been really popular on social media. I've been using Aider a lot, and there's been a bunch of these like full stack creating ones, or maybe not full stack, but like the ones that you don't have to download and you can just run in your browser, like V0, Lazy, Marbleism, GPT Engineer. Those are really cool as well.
Is there any of those that work best? I tried GPT Engineer and it was all right. It was okay. It did okay, but it wasn't very pretty or anything. Are there those other ones that you listed that are like the best out of those like kind of full stack generators?
Yeah, they all kind of have their own like vertical that they're really good at. So V0 is like the best for Next.js and just like ShadCN type stuff. So they always look pretty decent, modern, because they're using like ShadCN kind of framework and they know the latest like Next.js stuff. But yeah, that's limited to kind of front end, like there's no server and stuff. Whereas like Lazy AI, I'm not sure if this is the case, but they like seem to always use like Python and Flask, and they give you a server and database. So that is pretty unique there, like having to, be able to use natural language and spin up a server and database to do, more than just front end stuff. GPT Engineer is getting good. It has like good integration with Supabase now, so you can do like some database stuff with that now. It's still a little bit manual compared to lazy AI, but I think there's a lot you can do, and like the interface is a lot nicer when you're using JavaScript frameworks, whereas lazy is kind of still just rendering with like Flask and whatever the templating framework you get with Flask, so it doesn't look as nice a lot of the time. And then there's WebSim, which is actually like surprisingly powerful. That one's still only front end, but like somehow they're able to get really impressive things out, and it's all just in one HTML file, which is like really, really impressive.
I was going to ask the other route instead of the full stack ones. The idea of keeping things in the terminal is very appealing to me. So what are your thoughts on Aider?
Yeah, Aider is definitely probably like the best open source solution we have at the moment, and best terminal solution I think we have. It's very like customizable, scriptable, just like what you'd want in an open source terminal solution. So yeah, you can set up some flags to like after every change automatically run your tests and run your linter, and then if it picks up an error, it can automatically fix that, so you don't have to keep like copying and pasting errors back and forth. I think that's a really cool part of it. Switching models and stuff is really easy with Aider as well. I really like that. There are some issues I occasionally come into with Aider, which is a bit annoying, and that's like it works by using, well, there's two different modes. There's like a diff mode and a whole mode. The diff mode, it works by using like these search replace blocks, and so it needs the LLM to adhere to this search replace blocks, and like sometimes these LLMs either hallucinate and like say, all right, replace this line of code, but then they don't perfectly give the block of code to replace, and that just breaks, and it says, okay, try again. That search and replace didn't work, and you end up chewing some tokens doing that. Or something else, this is user error, but sometimes I accidentally include a really big file into Aider and end up chewing a whole lot of money, like $1.50 in one prompt with Sonnet, which I guess that's just a skill issue there. Yeah, but I've actually been using Aider with the Gemini Pro Experimental, and that is like probably the best free model. And I've been doing a lot with just that free model. As long as you set your expectations and don't try to do too complex things, if it's like a relatively simple change, that model is actually pretty good for like cheapskates like me.
I love the Gemini free models. I was using Gemini 1.5 Flash, and they give you 1.5 million tokens a day. So I built a little YouTube thing that uses. There's a Python package that gets YouTube transcripts. I don't know if your YouTube transcript thing's in JavaScript land. There's a great Python package for it, but I had mine all built with that just so it could run for free every day. But I really like this idea of like ambient agents and like give me here's a code base. This is kind of like where I want it to end up. Like, I want to just be able to hit go and just burn through all my free tokens on the different Google models. If there's any other free tokens on Anthropic or anywhere else, just keep going, just keep iterating on this one code base until you figure out how to do it or not. But I mean, it's very manual right now, which is
100%. And I love that term, ambient. What'd you call it? Ambient agents. I love that.
Ambient agents, yeah. They're just working in the background without you really having to deal with them.
What other gaps do you see in the tool space? Like where do you see from where we are now to where we could be?
That, yeah. As Ty was explaining, I definitely see a gap of like a pathfinding / branching orchestrator type thing. So iterating on a code base is fine, but you've seen these agents, they get stuck in loops and dead ends. So there's definitely needs to be some kind of smart, overarching like orchestrator that manages paths and knows when, like, what paths people took, agents took, like sub agents took, and knows like, okay, we've tried to do this, now let's try to do that, and then you know what I mean. So they try like every possible branch in like, the way to it, still trying to achieve that goal, but like instead of using this package, let's try this package, Currently, that doesn't exist. That's what the human's job is at the moment, but I don't see any reason why another AI couldn't be the orchestrator as well.
Yeah, seeing things like when they have like a collection of agents working together, they'll have someone being like the communicator between it. Very rarely do they actually just like issue commands. It's normally like, oh, I will connect the project manager to the engineer, and just kind of like a routing mechanism rather than an overarching orchestrator. Fully agree. That's something that needs to be built.
Yeah, there's the project managers, but I haven't really seen the project managers that maintain a log of the like what's been tried, and like I really think like a tree architecture type of planning is like would be really effective.
I want to say a hot take too. I've played around with Crew AI a lot, and I think Crew AI and these kind of like multi-agent systems are like, they're so early right now. Like, I had such a hard time getting Crew AI to do what I actually wanted it to do. It seems like it's just introducing all of the bureaucracy and annoyingness of like a corporate life without actually getting the benefits of having humans to work with. But I think it will get better too, and I think they're doing great things over there. But it's just like that, where it is right now is pretty annoying. So I like this idea of kind of a one orchestrator that kind of does all of it and has like tools available to it, but those tools themselves are agents, and maybe even a team of agents, exactly. Right? But they're using just a single tool. It's not like they have to go talk to someone and do all of this corporate language and have a conversation with it. They can just kind of like, here's your task, here's your tool. If that doesn't work, let's move on to a different branch. That's a really cool idea.
And even things like user error, where I've been prompting back and forth trying to get a solution solved, and it wouldn't get it. It would spit out the same thing over and over. But really, it was something that I had to do to address the issue, but it was just unaware of that. So having this orchestrator would be like, let's explore different paths. Like, I've been telling Mike the same thing, and he must be dumb because it's not working. Let's try something new. And just be like, yeah, I mentioned last episode, resize the terminal. Like, if I even thought about doing that, I would have saved myself a bunch of aggravation. But because I was just like, your code's not working, it would give me new code. Like, code's still not working. Yeah. So yes, higher level view. That the 30,000 foot view is missing, or like I said, it's occupied by the human.
Yeah, and I think that's still a bit as you mentioned, a gap or like a difficulty with these AIs to kind of think outside of the box. Even though Mike's been prompting like solutions within the terminal, sometimes the solution is outside of the terminal. Yeah.
I love that one project a couple months ago where it was like, it was some sort of tool that is provided to an LLM, but the tool is actually just asking for help from a human in the real world. I thought that was fascinating. So like if it could order the pizza, but it can't, open the door to grab the pizza and bring it inside. And so it could like call a human or text them or whatever it is to actually get them. I wonder if there's some sort of element of that where if it really got stuck, it could like call on a human developer or something to just see where it's getting stuck. That'd be kind of cool.
That's definitely a good gap.
Yeah, can we get a Fiverr API going where it can actually like post jobs to get a human filling out those little gaps that they can't do?
That's an idea.
So yeah, Mike and Ty, I have a question for you guys. What AI tools are you guys using, especially in the software development? I know you're both involved in that. What tools are you using?
Well, I use Cursor for most things, and Cursor Composer has been just such a level up on everything. So I use like primarily Cursor. I also use Claude's just UI too, because I love artifacts and I love doing little UI things, and like most of I don't ever need to create an entire app in one go. Like that's just not usually what I need. I'm usually building in existing code bases, and so usually I need like one component or one like little drop down or one thing. So I'll just go to Claude for that and iteratively work through it with them, which is great. I love Claude. I also use ChatGPT 01 preview. I actually canceled my ChatGPT subscription like a month and a half ago, and then 01 drops, and I'm like, I gotta start it again. So I'm paying for it again, But yeah, those are, it's kind of boring, I know. It's the classic just Anthropic, Cursor, and ChatGPT, but that's mostly what I use. But I do think there is a gap here, and I think you've kind of already touched on a little bit of this orchestrator thing, but I don't think the best UI for the O1 style of language model exists yet. I mean, I think in ChatGPT you have it shows its thinking and it shows its little steps and it shows its plan. But I feel like someone's going to make something to where it can generate full, like, project plans and generate full, like, really do, I mean, orchestrator is the right word, but like actually generating high level plans and high level strategies for other aspects of things. And that, I mean, I know that Cursor supports O1, but like it's just using Cursor, right? It's kind of just like chatbot style. I feel like there's some sort of space here that kind of unifies all these tools under one roof.
Yeah, great. How about you, Mike?
I put together a GitHub repo of my full stack. And this is just like everything. And it's public. I really encourage a lot more people to do this because it's really interesting exploring what tools people use. So, I mean, I'm the same as Ty. I've been transitioning slowly into using NVim, but Cursor still is just like a very easy to use interface. Everything's right there for you. If I need to do a quick change, it's usually in that. But then I use things like...
interrupt here, but do you use the NeoVim plugin in VS Code/Cursor?
I have to help me work with the navigation. But I've just been finding, going down the rabbit hole of being able to configure the editor and the hotkeys, Vim bindings for different editing techniques has just been so much faster once you know what to do. It's just not muscle memory yet. So that's why I'm trying to like gradually transition to it, because I also think there's something for the potential of this talk about O1 so much, about this reasoning, where if we're able to not only capture the output of code that people produce, but if we can do the entire thought process. And when you get a mouse involved, you really remove a lot of that. But with Vim, everything is a key press. So we're going to be able to take the entire trace of a developer's progress through and be like, this is how from beginning state to end state a developer got there. So you're able to say, this is how they navigate around, this is how they tried, and then they made a mistake, and then they corrected it. So I think we're going to be able to fine-tune models on a lot deeper reasoning if we get more people onto Vim, and then maybe we'll have something like a key logger to be able to say, this is a session to do this one task, this is how you do it. And you get some of those Vim wizards to just say, this is how you can process it, and then it might reveal more information to the LLM than versus strictly input-output. So that's kind of like pipe dream, but I do think there's
definitely
something there.
No. Well, Cursor has Copilot++, which is exactly that, right? It suggests not only autocompletes, but actually like jumps to different files and like changes that are more just simple autocompletes.
Very cool. Yeah, we need to look at it more holistically, and I'm glad they're approaching it. Also, like Ty, I use Claude a lot. I've been finding too, incorporating smaller tools. So one we covered on, I think it was episode 0, was my AI commit, where it just takes the git diff, writes a commit message, and it's just making it a bit more robust. I like the idea of pulling AI into my Obsidian Vault by making different plugins just to try to incorporate AI into different aspects. One thing I got to give a shout out to, Dingboard. It's my editor of choice for memes or even just background removal. I do use Super Whisper as a transcription. I think it's one of the better ones out there in terms of user interface. Super quick. I press Option Space. It comes up. I just regurgitate whatever I want, puts it down, and I can even feed that into an LLM. They have Super Mode, which I encourage people to play around with if you have a Mac and use Super Whisper, because there's a lot of potential with just being able to do stream of consciousness, dumping out, and then break down from there. Because I find, especially after doing this show for a while, the way I talk is very different from the way I write. And if I'm able to sometimes write, sometimes talk, and kind of see the difference, it's almost like a different part of my brain approaching a problem. So I really like the idea of using voice. And I actually included a lot of Linux utilities I use. I highly suggest people check out Attune. It's this new replacement for history. I got Ty on it. I got Killian on it. It's much nicer, and all of these, even like Zoxide, instead of CD with Zoxide, you can actually just press Z or Z for my American friends, and then the directory you want to go to. So you don't have to go CD, parent directory, subdirectory to the end. You just Z to the end, and it keeps a history through, perfect. I think it's a SQLite database of all the ones you visit, and the the directories you go to most common are bumped up the list. So if there's two conflicting ones, it'll be the highest one, and then you can cycle through. It's just these little tools that you can then deeper incorporate into your AI tools that you build for yourself. So if you don't have a stack repo or just, a Notion page or something, I hope you'll put one together, because it's really good to share these tools. I know Ty uses his Raycast, which I also use, but he uses it for clipboard. I have this little tool called Clippy. And when I use Clippy, I'm not going to show you what my history is, but it's right there. It's just Command-Shift-V. So I don't even have to I just add the shift to my paste, and then all of a sudden I have the last 30 things, which is configurable. So a bunch of AI aspects into it, but I don't have any big tools other than, Super Whisper, Cursor, Claude, ChatGPT, and Dingboard.
Amazing.
So Techfren, heard you got a demo for us. Let's see what you got.
Yes, something really quick. So this is robocoders.ai. It's completely free online. I don't think it's open source, but you don't even need to sign up. If you go to the site, you get this screen. You can choose a bunch of different agents. I think general coding is like trying to be like Devin. Front-end agent is kind of like artifacts. Oh, it says it here. And but the one I kind of want to demo quickly here is this repo agent, which it works with like repositories on GitHub. And I found it really good to kind of just ask some questions about a GitHub repository really quickly without having to, install anything or download anything. So yeah, you can select the repo agent, get started, and I'm gonna find a repository. Maybe we'll go open interpreter. We'll copy that, paste it here, and I'll be like, analyze. Well, this is probably it takes a little while to set up, but you could probably give it a more detailed prompt. But I'm just gonna give it a very basic prompt. Analyze this repository thoroughly, my spelling isn't great, and give a report about the architecture and files and what each does in a markdown file. You just give it a simple prompt like that, and it actually runs all these terminal commands like clone, and then it'll go through each file, analyze it with an AI, and hopefully give us a big markdown file. And these like markdown files can be really useful in using with tools like AI coding tools to get kind of like an understanding of the file structure and stuff. A lot of these modern tools kind of have the repository and map and stuff in context, but sometimes you can ask specific questions to extract some knowledge that you might not get from just the repo map.
And we love our markdown files, so really glad you do too.
This might take a little while though, because I think it like manually clones and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if you want to wait.
Wow, Devin really started a whole UI revolution here for coding agents.
Yeah,
today. It seems like there's
so this is actually literally OpenDevin forked into this. So I'm not sure about the morality on that, or because they don't really mention that, I don't think, or anywhere. But yeah, this whole UI is from OpenDevin.
It depends what type of license they have.
That's true.
Oh yeah. Okay, so they got a Jupyter, they got a browser, code editor, terminal.
Oh,
yeah, I guess that's really
and it's buggy. I don't know. Can you see that message? Oh no, I got a message saying your session has been disconnected. I think it ran into an error. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I think the browser also doesn't work, like ever. But
boy, does that summarize the current state of like AI coding tools. There's like so much promise and it can do so much, but it's just not quite there yet.
Okay, looks like I think it actually you marked down open architecture MD.
Oh, it did it. Never mind.
What?
My words.
Hold on, no.
Ty with his trash talking.
I guess.
I've done it before and it's worked. I don't think it worked. Wait, rewrite file. Let's give it one more try. Normally it's like at the root level.
There's a flashing dot beside Jupyter Notebook. Is that anything?
It's the. I guess it's here. It's in the Jupyter Notebook, but normally it like writes the file in the File Explorer. But I guess So, I guess this is it. You get the utils directory, terminal interface. Kind of gives you more information that you could just pass this onto an AI agent, or maybe yourself as a human wants to know kind of a bit of a like overall rundown of. You could ask anything. I just told it to give me a markdown of an overview, but yeah. So I've used it before to say like, okay, I want to make this change. Find the files where maybe I'd want to make this change. Save you some tokens on Cursor or something.
This is just completely free to use?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a limit, but you don't even have to sign up. So maybe if you could just hop VPNs, but I guess your session wouldn't save. But I don't know.
They must just want the training content, huh?
Haven't really pushed it to the limit Yeah. Yeah, it's by this company Black Box AI. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they have a popular VS Code extension as well.
Yeah, that was long before the cursor days. Black Box. I was using
Yeah.
that before. I think that's even before ChatGPT back in the day. I tried Black Box, and back then it was
really?
like not quite up to par with GPT-3, but it's still really cool. I'm sure it's way better now.
If you guys like my personality and stuff, I make a bunch of content on all these different social medias. You can find all these links at techfren.net, TECHFREN, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or X, and Discord. Hope to see y'all there. Thank you, Mike and Ty, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for
It's been a pleasure.
here.
Yeah, mate, really appreciate you jumping on. I've been watching live streams for ages. I'm in the Discord server. It's always busy with stuff, so definitely think people should check it out. There's a lot of good stuff. And it's really cool just having you on discussing like all the different options, because you do explore it all and you do kind of do these compare and contrast, and you have your tests to run things through. So it's really valuable to have someone like you experiment with them, showcase what you've learned, and it just saves us a lot of time around to go through the work. So thanks for what you do.
100%. My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, man.